Mellitus Mugabe Were was born in 1962 in the village of Bunyala in the western region of Kenya. He grew up in a rural environment where he was exposed to struggles of ordinary people. His early life was marked by a desire for education, which eventually led him to Nairobi for higher studies. In the early 2000s, Were entered the political scene where he was an active member of the Orange Democratic Movement (ODM) led by Raila Odinga. The ODM was one of the major political parties in Kenya, and it played a crucial role during the 2005 referendum where they campaigned against a proposed constitution. Were was seen as a rising star in the party, and he eventually became the Member of Parliament for Embakasi, a constituency in Nairobi. Mellitus Mugabe Were was elected as the Member of Parliament for Embakasi in the year 2007 general elections. His victory was well received by his supporters, and he was seen as someone who could make a positive change for the people of Nairobi. After Moi Kibaki was re-elected as President of Kenya in December 2007, the political climate became extremely tense and volatile. The election results were widely disputed, with Raila Odinga and his party, the Orange Democratic Movement (ODM), claiming the election was rigged. The ensuing crisis led to violent protests, ethnic clashes, and widespread unrest as the opposition rejected Kibaki's victory. Violence erupted, especially in the Rift Valley and parts of Nairobi, led to the deaths of more than 1,000 people. Many people from different political affiliations were targeted, and political figures like Mugabe Were were seen as symbols of the opposition. The tensions were so high that the fear of further bloodshed lingered over the country. On January 29, 2008, Mellitus Mugabe Were was shot and killed outside his home in the Woodley suburbs of Nairobi. Were was returning home in Woodley Estate in January 2008 when he was shot while waiting for the gate to be opened. He died on arrival at the hospital. His death occurred in the midst of this volatile period, and it was widely believed that his murder was politically motivated. The exact details of his assassination remain unclear, but it was suspected that the killing was related to the political instability following the elections. Were's death shocked the country and further added to the feeling of insecurity during that time. The murder of Mugabe Were was initially shrouded in mystery, but over time investigations revealed that 3 men had been involved in his killing. Special Crime Prevention Unit (SCPU) detectives were able to track down James Omondi alias Castro as the prime suspect. He led them to the alleged accomplices, Wycliffe Walimbwa Simiyu, aka Zimbo, and Paul Otieno alias Baba. Alongside Paul, a lady by the name Mary Wairimo was arrested, being suspected of being an accomplice. The legal process went through a series of mistrials. The police concluded the investigation in 2008, and 4 persons were subsequently charged with the murder. All of them were in custody at that time. Several witnesses appeared in court during trial proceedings, which encountered significant delays with repeated adjournments and changes in the presiding judges. The criminal proceedings were mishandled to the point that the judge in the case declared a mistrial in November 2011 and ordered that the case be retried. The retrial commenced in December 2011 and continued in 2012. 12 witnesses had testified by July 2012, and 11 more were due to testify, considering that the Speaker of the National Assembly had regularly provided information on the trial proceedings of the 4 persons who were arrested of the crime up until October 2012, and that no further information had been forthcoming from the Kenyan authorities since that date. The killing of Mellitus Mugabe Were, the MP for Embakasi, was surrounded by several controversies, particularly in the context of the political instability and unrest following the disputed 2007 presidential election in Kenya. Here are some of the key controversies surrounding his assassination. Political motives. Were was a member of the opposition party Orange Democratic Movement (ODM), which was led by Raila Odinga. The political tension following the contested presidential election of 2007 created a volatile environment, with many opposition figures targeted in what appeared to be politically motivated violence. As an ODM MP, Were's killing was seen by some as part of the broader political violence during the post-election crisis. His death was viewed as another example for how opposition politicians, especially those from ODM, were being targeted by individuals or groups who supported President Kibaki's government. Controversy number 2. Alleged political assassination. Given the timing of the murder, just after the political unrest, it was suspected that Were was specifically targeted because of his political affiliation. While there was no concrete proof, many believed that his murder was politically motivated, intended either to silence him or send a message to the opposition members during a time of intense political rivalry. Other politicians and opposition members had been killed or attacked in the same period, leading to widespread speculation that Were's murder was part of a systemic campaign against ODM members. Controversy number 3. Mellitus Mugabe Were's murder was linked to land issues. There were claims that those who plotted his killing feared that, should the newly elected member of parliament for Embakasi exert his authority, supporters would invade private and idle land in the then expansive constituency. Before being elected as Member of Parliament in December 2007 on an ODM ticket, he was the councillor for Dandora ward, where he was raised during his early childhood. Controversy number 4. That the wife was responsible for his killing. After the murder of Mellitus Mugabe Were, there was a brief period of speculation that his wife might have been involved in the killing. Some of the rumors pointed to personal issues within their marriage, suggesting that this could have contributed to the motive for his death. However, this was mostly based on hearsay, and there was no direct evidence at the time to confirm these claims. The theories linking Were's wife to the murder were often tied to suspicions about marital problems or disputes. Some suggested that the murder could have been linked to financial dispute, or perhaps there was a tension over infidelity or other personal issues. These speculations gained traction for a short time, particularly as people tried to understand the complex circumstances behind Were's death. Despite the rumors, the investigation into Were's death did not find any solid evidence linking his wife to the crime. The police initially explored various leads, including the possibility of personal dispute, but there was no concrete proof to suggest that she had any involvement. The investigation later focused on other suspects, including criminal elements and political motivations. As time went on, the case appeared to lean more towards being a politically motivated assassination rather than a domestic dispute. During the periods when these controversies were overheated, it was clear that the media played a major role in it. It played a significant role in circulating unverified information and sensationalizing certain aspects of the case. Some outlets, in this search for a compelling narrative, raised the possibility of a domestic angle to the murder. This contributed to the public's perception that Were's wife might have been involved, despite the lack of supporting evidence. The media speculation about his wife being involved created a cloud of uncertainty and confusion surrounding the case. It painted a picture of a more personal vendetta, even though the truth was more complex and rooted in the politically charged environment of the post-election crisis. Ultimately, Mellitus Mugabe Were's wife was not charged or implicated in the murder. The legal proceedings and investigation did not reveal any direct involvement on her part. The conviction of other individuals further exonerated her from any suspicion. However, the rumors continued to circulate among some sections of the public for a while. The rumors about her involvement, combined with the complexity of the case, may have left some lingering doubts in the minds of certain people, but not formal charges were ever brought against her.
Hata how long imechukua, sisi at least tumejua nani amemuua, lakini tumemwachia Mungu. Hakuna kitu tutafanya. This is my brother-in-law. Yeah. Imefanyika and we are happy about it. Yengine, we just leave it to God. Everything itakuwa sawa. Asanteni.
The controversy surrounding the killing of Mellitus Mugabe Were revolves around the broader context of political instability, violence, and accusations of electoral fraud in Kenya following the 2007 elections. While his murder was officially investigated, many questions remain about the exact reason behind his death, with the most likely explanation being political motives tied to the post-election violence. The delay in justice and the conviction of 3 men added further layers of suspicion and controversy, leaving many to wonder whether the true masterminds behind the murder were ever brought to light. However, on one interview with a well-established media house in Kenya, one of the criminals confirmed that the attack was just a robbery that had gone wrong, where they were only after Mugabe Were's valuables, and on top of that, they had not recognized him even right before the attack.
Tukazunguka Karen kidogo, tukateremka mpaka Nairobi, kutana na Nairobi, tukagawana kwa hizo magari. Mimi na Kengo na Zimbo tukaingia kwa gari ya Mazda, baba na Kengo na Kenya wakaingia kwa gari ya Toyota ya Nairobi. Tukapo tuteremka Jamhuri. Kwa sote hapo ilikuwa tuteremka Jamhuri,
tulikuwa upande wa Jamhuri tukija Woodley tuliweza kwenda Hadams. Tukifika Hadams tunaweza kuliona gari likija Woodley, kisha piga hii yetu ikawa tena wakisema sigari hilo, ikabidi apige mkato ndio tumefuatilia gari, kisha tunaweza kufuata hivi kifika mahali alikuwa mwenzetu na amezaingiza katika gate ambapo nafikiria ilikuwa ni mbaki.
Sasa Yuda, mlikuwa mnaonaje ikiwa mnasimama kwenye gate?
Sasa ndio nilikuwa nataka kuambia hapo, ndio baada ya kuona kuna gari inafuata nyuma. Akasema haya kuangalia akasema kama kuna gate ndio akageuza gari.
Akageuza gari hapo. Ile gari mko ndani. Akageuza gari na alafu mkanda.
Sasa ndio tukarudi mali ile gari ilikuwa inapita.
Wakati unasema hiyo kuna mafaa shot. Huyu mtu kuna rifasa ilikuja. Huyo mtu ambaye mmeshambulia. Na kuna mtu mwingine alikuwa kwa mahali.
Asipokuwa watatu.
Ninyi watatu na huyu mtu ambaye mmeshambulia. Yeye hakupiga risasi. Risasi zilipigwa na watu.
On Wednesday, 11th of February 2015, that is 7 years since the killing, the 3 criminals who killed were sentenced to death. Judge Luka Kimaru found James Omondi alias Castro, Wycliffe Walimbo Simiyu alias Zimbo, and Paul Oman alias Baba, guilty of murdering the MP in 2008, barely a month after being elected to parliament on an Orange Democratic Movement (ODM) ticket. The judge, however, acquitted a fourth accused, Mary Wairimo, arguing that there were no evidence connecting her to the murder of the first-time MP, as she had only been found in the house of Oman. In his verdict, the judge said that the prosecution had proved beyond any reasonable doubt that the three had been involved in the murder of the MP through blood samples, DNA results, and fingerprints. The judge added that all the evidence adduced in court had directly linked the suspect to the fatal shooting of the MP. He added that the evidence of ballistic experts established that the spent ammunition recovered at the scene of the crime came from one of the pistols recovered from the house of Oman. Dear viewer, always note that though the criminals received a death sentence, the Kenyan Constitution does not allow for the killing or hanging of human beings. So what means is that the three criminals were to spend their entire life in prison and they had to die from there. In addition, it means that they can never appeal for their cases or even receive any sort of parole. Legacy. Mellitus Mugabe Were's assassination remains a reminder of the political violence that plagued Kenya during the 2007-2008 period. His death raised questions about the safety of politicians in the midst of such unrest and the overall political climate in the country. Were's legacy lives on through the memories of those who knew him and a dedicated and rising leader, and his murder is often referenced in discussions about the dark side of Kenyan politics during that era. And that is the tragic case of Mellitus Mugabe Were, the first-time elected Member of Parliament, Embakasi constituency, Kenya. And thank you so much for tuning in. And if there is a case that you would like our team to cover, please leave that comment in the comment section. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us. Please do consider subscribing, and I will definitely see you in the next one.